Anyway,
So 2023, heck of a year.
yes.
Honestly glad it's gone.
Yep.
I think that's a general sentiment. A lot of people are 2023, ups and downs.
If you're working in the game industry, it wasn't a great year.
True, very true. And a lot of that talent, I don't think it's coming back. Those folks are moving on to other things. They're not coming back to the game industry. There's no rising from the ashes. You know, the suits are getting their money, and I don't know if it's going to work out for them.
Yeah.
Well, and unless you want to take the incredibly dangerous independent route, which is more and more fraught as the market is choked with indie games, and games posing as indie games.
Oh God, let's not get into that. Like, I think we got to just give up on calling things indie games and just say, is this a game that we want to call a good game, or is it a game that we don't think quite hangs with the good games, so we're going to call it an indie game so it gets some kind of props?
We'll probably have to start discussing things coldly in terms of budget, which is
That poor Bobby Kotick, man. God, I can't believe he fucking left the Overwatch team, and it's just so sad, man.
I can't believe he didn't walk out of those doors and directly into a vast flaming pit, the sort of portal to hell, if you will. I can't believe he's still out there drifting away in his golden parachute and not, the victim of some comical Looney Tunes, Rube Goldberg-esque contraption.
Rest well, Bobby.
Yeah, by his, his
we hardly
hubris,
knew ye.
whatnot.
We knew Bobby.
We really need a fucking rotocaster so we can play some fucking
Bobby Kotick sound bites.
Well, yeah, or that, or like some nice like funeral music for him, so a nice like ode to farewell for him.
I did see that Discord does have some new features. There's a soundboard feature, so I may have to check that out.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think that would might add a certain little something to this podcast that we call Press X the Podcast. Hi, everybody. Hey,
a certain chutzpah.
Yes.
Yeah.
A je ne sais quoi.
I like that.
This is the podcast of the podcast channel. Best podcast, some might say. And the podcast where we're going to decide the 10 best games of the year today, right now. What do you say? What do you say, fellas?
Yeah. Other people have done it, but they were wrong because they weren't us. We have to do it in order for it to be correct.
It's 100% wrong.
Yeah.
So I have a very official best game of 2023 document where I have, for our convenience, listed out a fair few number of video games that came out in 2023.
Correct.
And we're going to talk about them. Move these rows around, add some numbers, and
already in the chat, I'm seeing King Kong #1.
I'm gonna say hard no on that. That's a veto. That's a reject.
Listen,
because it's Gollum, obviously.
Yeah,
Gollum, best game of 23.
Obviously, it's Gollum.
Well, let's not forget about Redfall as well. That came out this year.
Jesus,
Redfall should be in the discussion here.
Well, let's start there. Let's start with Redfall. Where do we think Redfall should hack it on this list?
I mean,
I'm thinking about 179.
I was
gonna say number
18,
number 2, but if whatever,
okay,
I'll go with what you guys want.
All right, I'll just quickly add it there.
Number 2, Redfall. Okay,
number 2, lock it in.
Yep.
It's so bad. Honestly,
it's one of the worst games I've ever played. Ever. Like, it's embarrassingly bad.
I don't know, man. I've played some hot, steamy dog shit.
Did you play Redfall?
I did.
Yeah, that's fucking
it was
brutal.
It was bad, but it was like 5.5, 6 out of 10 bad. It wasn't like burn it down and salt the earth. It was just like,
I
wow.
don't know about that. 5.5 is being very generous, I think. That was like a solid 2 out of 10.
I think you have to factor in too the pedigree of the people who are making the game.
I don't know.
And
Yeah.
Arcane knows how to make a good game.
Yeah.
You know, Deathloop was great. Dishonored's great. They
That
know how to
feels
make
too
a
much-
game, and this was
it-
not a good game. It was
Yeah.
It just
problematic from the design phase.
it just feels too much like that. There's a trap of criticism that so many people I know, and including probably myself, fall into, where we start talking about what could have or should have been, or what our expectations were for the game, as opposed to, what we actually got. And personally, I think that what we got was a aggressively mediocre multiplayer looter shooter that needed, I don't know, another year and a half in the oven. But I don't.
Yeah, I just don't think
It-
that would have saved it. The core concept behind that game, the only game that had a worse core concept and misunderstood its audience worse than Redfall this year, Starfield.
Mm.
A mile wide and an inch deep.
Yeah, let's take the beloved Bethesda RPG where exploration and discovery is the number one thing people like about it, going from A to B and finding something along the way. Let's remove 100% of that and stuff you into tiny boxes with tons of loading screens. What could go wrong? Turns out, everything. Starfield's a bad game.
It's boring, which is the great sin. Okay, like if it was a hot, sloppy mess, then people would, they'd have fun with it. They could get up in that nasty, creaking physics engine and get their hands wet, But like, it's just boring.
Can't wait to do my playthrough on stream.
You can and you should
up.
forever if possible. It's not fun. It's
Yeah.
just not fun. The main quest is so much like go to this place and do this dumb mini game involving low gravity. It's like, God, no.
Yeah.
And it whiffs on all of its big set piece moments. Like there's a cool space casino that should be a whole thing, but no, it's just some of the shitty combat and an underwhelming chest at the end. Anyways,
Yeah.
I've named Starfield the 976th best game of 2023.
Wow. 976.
I feel like that's
Still
fair.
sounds a little high.
You think so?
Well, I'll play it and I'll get back to you on that one. But I mean,
1976th? Drop
Yeah.
it by 1,000 spots?
yeah, exactly. But
right.
this isn't exactly a great endorsement playthrough. I have never wanted to play the game less, actually.
Pretty boring.
The AI is
Yeah.
god awful.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, counterpoint, there were good games.
There were.
There were good games on this year. And viewers, if you're viewing, you'll see this fine table of games over to the right-hand side of the screen. These are the games that are up for discussion unless we decide to add things or remove things or whatever. And let's just pick one at random. Let's pick one at random. Like Spider-Man 2.
Mm-hmm.
Spider-Man 2, I have a hard time with it in my head because it's a incredible technical achievement with a terrific story, and and playing through it was really fun, but it's also more Spider-Man. And like I can't, it's so hard for me to be like, you're just, the fact that it's such a direct sequel in my head has cost it the #1 spot automatically. Like it's immediately disqualified from the running for #1. And like slots 2 and 3 also not looking great. Personally, I feel like it's number 5.
Okay.
I was
Just
saying
because-
exactly that. When that first trailer was showing off, I'm like, the game looks great and everything, but it looks exactly like the first game.
Yeah, there's all sorts of shit under the hood, right? That's very impressive, and the fact that it flows so beautifully from like cutscene to combat and like across zones, that's all great. That's lovely stuff. That does not win you over with players.
Right.
It's a very small subset of people that are like, this is the most technically impressive game, therefore it is the best. Those people, yeah, they're a noisy minority. Um, people will slog through all sorts of jank if there's a golden game underneath. So the fact that it runs perfectly is like, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's important to remember that it's the only one that is probably going to be in the top 5, maybe even in the top 10 that was an exclusive.
True.
There's a reason why it runs as well as it does, was because it was developed specifically for the PS5, and it takes advantage of everything the PS5 can do, and is probably the best example of what that system's capable of. But we got to keep that in mind, that it's probably the only exclusive that's going to be on the top 10 list. Let's say top 5 for now.
Yeah.
Well, unless you start counting some other well, yeah. Unless you start counting some other things, but
Yeah.
I've got Spider-Man 2 at number 6.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Because it is, I think you're right. It's excellent, well-paced game, very well done. Takes advantage of the PS5. Does all that cool Spider-Man stuff that it did good before, even better. Dragged back a little bit for me by the number of bugs I ran into, which we've talked about before. It showed up in the post-release period for some reason.
So weird, man. Like, I had next to no issues playing the game. Yeah.
I definitely got the spider cube where you click on the wrong Miles outfit and then you're just like, and I was like, that's hilarious. But then it turns out another bug that's pretty common is that like Miles loses the ability to interact with the ground. So he'll just like fall to his death in a sort of horrible void underneath the streets of New York. And you're like, oh no, this isn't great.
Also, I can't believe, after all the blowback from Spider-Man 1, that they put more MJ missions in this game.
They're way better than the first time around. I gotta
Way
say,
better.
They're
Way better.
They're better, but they're vastly inferior to anything you're doing as the Spider-Men.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Yeah.
why are they there? Insomniac is so good at making cutscenes. You could have done some of that MJ stuff in a quick cutscene.
Well, hell, it was
Find
still
something-
better than that. Still better than that stupid fucking mission where you're playing as Miles' fucking girlfriend. My God, I wanted to put my fucking head through the wall doing that. Fuck, that was lame.
Yeah, let's chase this
Red,
graffiti kid.
Fuck.
Red, I'm gonna be honest. I breezed through that. It elicited no reaction from me, good or bad. It was just like
horrible, horrible.
done.
Easily the worst part of the game. Easily
Finito
the worst part of the
Bandito.
game.
Okay, yeah. I
Horrible.
know that there's a mission like that in the game. I don't remember it.
Yeah, it was fucking. I sure do.
You're like knocking down boards in a construction site and chasing a
dude.
kid who's doing graffiti. I get why it's there. It
Kill
wasn't
me.
fun. It wasn't fun.
No, of course I get why it's there because it's fucking 2023. But arguably one of the worst moments I had all year in gaming. I'm gonna put that up right next to play. Yeah, I'm gonna put that right up there next to playing Redfall. Next to the debacle that was the day before.
Wow.
Yeah.
What the fuck are you talking about?
What? In Spider-Man?
What do you mean it's 2023? What the fuck does that even mean? Use your words, Rhett.
Because it's 20. I just did. Because it's 2023.
Use more words. Use
Yeah.
more words. More words than that, please.
Nah, it's
They mean things, Rhett. They mean things, Rhett. The words mean things. You can't just say these things and be like, everybody will understand. I do not, Rhett. I want to understand what you mean when you say it's 2023.
That's okay. I don't want you to fucking have a stroke or anything.
I'm not gonna have a stroke, Rhett. I listen. Look at me. Look at me. Hand to God right in my chesticles. I'm not gonna have a stroke. I just want you to explain yourself.
It was just lame. It was just lame. That's all. 2023. Just like use your words, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah, it was just
tell-
I
lame.
mean,
It was just lame.
there's a lot of pressure in society for all things to be all things.
Right.
You know, everything has to
Okay.
be for everyone. So that feels like something that was included because it expanded the scope.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like this is a game about Spider-Man
Yeah.
doing
Okay.
Spider-Man things.
Yeah, that's
So
way
here's
nicer
some-
than I would have put it. So thank you, Paul.
Here's something else that includes something else.
It sort of seems to me like the reason that sequence exists is for a sort of synchronicity, because we had MJ sections and that felt like there needed to be a mirror image of that with Miles, because Miles is enough of a character in the story that he has a sort of love interest that he's like, invested in and wants to be, just because we have MJ missions, we have missions with this person. This
Yeah, but
person
the MJ
being a-
missions actually added something to the story. This was just tagged
Yes.
on there just to be able to tick off every spot on the all-inclusive bingo card, as Coda said in the chat.
I guess, but that feels like a sort of like it doesn't feel like the actual reason they would have done that, because if that was the case, there'd be all sorts of shit
But
in the
there
game
is.
instead of just like this one thing. You know
But
what I
the-
mean? Like,
But there is. There is all
Oh.
sorts of shit.
okay, speak on that, Rhett.
Well, how about the mission where you need to help the dude? It's like a fucking 30-minute mission where you need to help the dude ask his boyfriend out to the prom. Another one of
Okay.
the worst moments in the entire game that added nothing to it.
I barely remember that happening.
Oh, I sure do. I sure do.
I-
I was falling asleep during that mission.
Okay. To me, it just felt like him trying to connect with his like high school. It's flavor, to be sure. It's just like here's us trying to bridge the gap between the man and the mask. You know what I mean? Where it's just like this is what it's like, right? And like I get that I get that people want every mission to be of a certain pace and a certain intensity. Personally, I feel like you have to have these downtime chill missions, because if it's all go no stop all the time, you like burn
I agree
out.
with that. I agree with that. That's why I didn't hate the MJ missions.
Yeah.
So I thought that they actually not only did they fit the story, but I felt that they were vastly superior to the ones from the last game, because they actually made MJ capable
Yeah.
of defending herself.
So basically, if the person isn't fighting or
But
capable of fighting, you're not especially interested. Is that what the thing is? Like you're just like,
I'd say when
just
somebody's
wa-
running around knocking over panels of wood and spray painting walls, that's not
Okay,
interesting to me.
so
in a
it's got to
Spider-Man
be it's
game.
got to be all battle. Like that's fine.
That's
That's
not
fine.
what I just said. That's not what I just said. I just said you could have come up with something a lot more creative than someone running around knocking over wooden panels and spray painting walls.
Okay.
Or
Okay.
hitting electrical panels to set up a fucking an elaborate prom date proposal.
I think the point is it's good to have flavor, but like in all games that have a bunch of side quests, there's a vast quality gulf between some of the best stuff and some of the worst stuff. Because
Yeah,
there's
personally,
that
I
whole
thought-
mission about the musical instruments that I thought was great. You know, it added a lot of flavor to where Miles is from and what his history and background is. Or
yeah.
you know, things like that are really great. Or the Mysterio missions kind of explore his psyche and his trauma of his past. Those ones
Mhm.
are really good, and obviously a lot of effort was poured into those. These are somewhat lower effort and less effective.
Personally, the thing where you have to remote control the bees or whatever was like,
Oh yeah.
Oh,
also
that's
lame.
awful.
Also lame.
Yeah, that's
bullshit.
horrible.
Totally.
well, because you have to do it like 10 times.
Yeah.
It's like, oh,
God,
the bees again, huh? Don't
like
make-
I'm sure if I had to do like 9 identical missions with the deaf chick, I would have lost my shit. But it was like 5 minutes. It's the same with the prom thing. If I only have to do it once, I don't care. But if it's bad and you make me do it over and over and over again, I'm like, no sale. I'm out, man. Fuck this.
That's fair.
What's in the chat? MJ can one-hit kill bad guys, but the Spider-Mans have to pummel them. She's the strongest character by far. I mean, that is true. That is true.
MJ's OP.
Yeah.
The stun gun is pretty rad.
Well, in exchange, every time somebody like sneezes in her general direction, a
That's
third
true.
of her
She
health
goes
bar
down.
disappears.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Going through it on ultimate difficulty as well. She was a one-hitter quitter. If she got hit, she was done.
Fuck,
So
I bet.
that wasn't great, but I also felt like there were way less MJ missions than there were in the last game.
There was like 3, maybe
it's-
4. They were pretty
Yeah.
long though.
But there were Miles missions in the last game before Miles had his powers, right? And they worked the same as the MJ missions. So I
Yeah.
guess that's probably what I'm thinking of.
Yeah, I feel like their design document probably had a certain amount of like uppy downy shit just to like make sure that the pacing didn't, like I said, burn itself out. How effective this is, I don't know. Right? Like I'm
Yeah.
I'm a small slice of the player population. I don't know.
it's a
Maybe
good
it worked
point,
better
though.
for me than it did for other people.
Coda makes a great point here. It bothers me more than anything that the Spider-Man Peter specifically basically made her the stun gun, but they couldn't add that to their suits.
Yeah.
That is a bit
One
of
of
a
them
blocker.
has like a stun.
But it's not the one hitter. It's
Yeah.
not the one hit.
Oh,
fucking
yeah,
phenom
KO.
that that stun gun is.
They probably beta tested that and were like, oh no, this blows the combat meta completely. We
yeah.
can't do this.
Yeah, totally.
So like in this story, it doesn't make any sense, but like gameplay wise, they had to do it that way.
Mhm.
What's interesting though
anyways-
is like we're picking this apart in a lot of ways by, you know, this mission was good or that mission wasn't good, whatever.
Mhm.
We've all said on podcasts in the past that this game was very well paced overall.
Mhm.
You know, it is the right length. It didn't wear out its
Yep, I
welcome. It
stand by
did all
that.
the right things, and it was the right length. So whether or not the moment to moment was super effective all the time, maybe is less important than the impact of the thing as a whole work.
A lot of this, most of the shit, like the missions, the missions that you pointed at, Rhett, that you didn't really like. I don't think you actually had to do those, did you? Like, was they story missions or was that just like side piece shit that you could get into?
I'm pretty sure that Deaf Girl mission was
Because the prom
mandatory.
one, for sure, you
The
didn't.
prom
have to.
one, yeah, the prom one was secondary. But I think if you wanted to go for 100%, you had, yeah, if you
Oh,
wanted to
for
go
sure.
100%,
If you
had
want to go
go.
for 100%, you have to suffer through all of it, including the like 10 tries of the wasp robot thing. Like, ugh.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I think if you're really wanting to go for 100%, you've signed up for a certain amount of suffering anyway. So, anyways, Paul, why do you feel like it's number 6 instead of number 5? What?
Well, I've got a lot of games ahead of that.
Sure.
Games that I think were
I-
were more interesting, more complicated.
I do too. I'm just interesting because for me, I can only think of like 4 that are on top of it, and you can think of 5, and I just think that's neat.
I think that might be because you didn't play Sea of Stars.
Oh, I did.
Oh, you did.
I did.
Oh,
I did.
Well, then I don't know what you're smoking over there, James.
That's true. That's true. It's it was a fucking excellent game that kind of disappeared from my brain once I finished it.
That's fair. I mean, I put Sea of Stars at 3.
Ooh, okay.
That's high.
It's high,
That's high.
but I stand by a lot of the things that I said about this game. That it harnesses that 90s vibe in a way that I don't think many games have. It's got great music, great visuals. The combat is fun. It doesn't overstay its welcome in that you don't have to grind forever. You play through the game, you're going to be at the right level to be competent in, you know, the battles and all that stuff. Also, Garl. Garl's the man.
Garl is pretty good.
Girl's a bitch.
Garl is a great
I
example
won't take any of this
of
Garl hate. I
Yeah.
will not accept
Garl-
this.
Garl is a great example of like character development and writing that like shines leagues above. It's punching way above his weight class, basically. Where like the fucking your big super special boy, special girl protagonists destined to save the world have regularly less of an impact than Carl. Carl, the regular dude who fucking changes the world around him just with his presence.
Mhm.
Right? You're just like
Beating
and
dudes
just
up with pot lids.
yeah, just through like kindness and compassion and courage and acts of service and shit. He's just generally a genuinely decent human being, which is something that these sheltered dipshits with their world saving powers can't do. They can't do that.
Yeah, it's
So
true.
yeah, I feel there's definitely an argument for it to be in the top 5. I'm not sure where yet. I feel like 3 is kind of floaty.
Oh, I know 3 is probably too high
Yeah.
for
Um,
the list. I made
Mhm.
my list.
Okay. So so right now we've got Spider's Man at 5 or 6, and then Sea of Stars goes above that. What a
I don't know if I agree with that.
Where would
I
you
had
put
Sea
it?
of- I think I had Sea of Stars at 6.
Okay.
Spider-Man at 5.
So in the same conversation as the Spider Boys.
Yeah. hmm
What do you think, James?
I think it's sort of I think it feels very floaty right now. I think after some debate I could accept it being at 6, but I'm open to the possibility of it being higher based on where some other games end up landing. I feel like it's its position is sort of in the air right now, and that once we get a couple others more solidly placed, we'll have a better idea of where we want to stick Sea of Stars. Because it's one of those games that was fucking amazing, but there's a lot of other fucking amazing games,
Yeah.
and so we have to. It's a fight.
What would you say?
How-
What would you say is or sorry, go ahead. Go where you're going.
Well, I was just going to ask about Tears of the Kingdom, but if you've got another place you want to go first, we can do that.
No, we can go there.
Okay. To me, it's at number 4
Okay.
because it does. I know I just talked a big load of shit about direct sequels and how they can't fucking
I was gonna say.
hack it for me. But at the same time, Paul, you said it yourself. It was like it's so much better than Breath of the Wild. Breath of the Wild feels like the fucking beta, and then this is like the final release. Like the game we got in 2017 that we all loved, turns out it wasn't finished. And then like this is the fucking the high class final product with like all of the shit we were hoping for that was missing being thrown in. Like everything I had a problem with in the previous game, I'm like, yeah, I'm here for it. The only difference between the two games kind of in Breath of the Wild's favor is that like I had this sort of energy for that obsessive completionist shit with the first game, and now with this one I'm like, well, I kind of feel like I've done that to a certain extent, but like the main quest, the story, the fucking the vastly improved mechanics, all of it is like leagues beyond the scope of the game. How there's like this massive underground section that's like just generally harder than anything you'll find up on the surface. All of that shit is amazing. And like the little tricks they play on you to like keep the narrative fresh and keep you guessing, the twists that they include in the story that like caught me off guard personally. The way the main villain is characterized is miles beyond what they did in the first game. Yeah. To me, that puts it comfortably at number 4.
Yeah, I think inarguably it's mechanically brilliant. Very well done, especially all the Zonai powers. Really cool, and the way people were already twisting Breath of the Wild in all kinds of different ways to make those powers do things that they were not supposed to do. This is just so much better. It's so much more approachable to put things together, to try different things, build an extra long bridge to get into that fortress, whatever you want to be doing. You can think it, you can do it. And it runs on Nintendo Switch pretty well, which is, it's a feat.
Yeah.
And the world design, level design, world building, the sense of place is excellent. Top notch. I think way better than Breath of the Wild. It feels more like a place that's lived in, as far as I'm concerned. Weapon breakage can still fuck right off, though.
I found the weapon, like, 'cause in the first game, I was already like constantly, I had more weapons than I knew what to do with. And then now that they're like, oh yeah, you can just fuse your existing materials into whatever you find, I'm like, oh, so everything I pick up is automatically a plus 30, like just going forward, no matter what it is I find in the ground, it's a plus 30. Is that what you're telling me? Great. Fuck yes, I'm ready.
So at that point, what's the point of it? It's a set of steps that is not necessary when everything is a pretty good weapon. You attach a sword to another sword, it's a pretty good weapon. So why not just have a unique list of weapons that you can use without the breakage mechanic? So I think there's enough going on there between the cooking and the hot and cold, all that kind of stuff. Gives you enough to think about as you're traversing the world that I don't want to equip another bow. I don't care.
I think honestly, I think it's just to make the game harder, because like the same set of materials, right, that you're using to fuse your weapons and to fuel the game's economy are also used for the entire upgrade tree for all of your armor. And like when you have to balance all these systems with the weapons that you're using, you have to think carefully about, oh, what supplies am I going to use? Do I have a surfeit of these? A ton of them that I can just spend however I like. And so if your weapons didn't break, it'd be a system you never thought about again. And the combat, as much as I love it, sort of relies on those limitations in order for it to be interesting. Because if you just had a whole bunch of high-powered weapons that never wore down or never broke, you would get super powerful and stay that way. And then you would get to this point where you were just rolling over enemies without any trouble. But with the braking system, you're constantly on your toes. You have to be using these like clever high-level strategies of like item supply management, as well as like raw mechanical skill to survive these encounters. And I just think that they had this in mind, where they're trying to like create a sort of like not an artificial difficulty so much as a very specific style of difficulty. Because like there's fights like the Lynels, for example, are, once you have powerful enough weapons and you have the perfect dodge strategy in place, they're cake. They're cake. They're easy. They're you can do it without taking a hit if you practice enough.
Yeah. It's a valid way to design a game. I didn't love it. Weapon breakage had me actively avoiding the combat.
There's a comment that they should have made the super strong weapons have a low drop rate to make getting these OP weapons work.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely lots of different ways you could have balanced it. They chose to go this way, and it's a valid way to go. Lots of people love it. It's a part of the game I didn't love, but I can forgive it.
I do wonder what they'll change going forward, because I feel like the series has been sort of iterative, but like sort of not at the same time, because all those things they pick up and leave behind. I feel like this open world formula, they're pretty hot for it. I think they're gonna stay in this space for a while. I do wonder if the breaking shit will be a thing, or if they'll find some other way to create scarcity and hardship.
Hard to say. I could live with it at number 4. I had it at number 5. I don't know about you, Rhett.
I never played it.
Oh, all
Never
right.
played it. So I'll agree with whatever y'all say on this one. Should we not be starting at number 10 though?
Well, we can
working our
kind-
way up the list.
Sure, let's go back to number 10 then.
You know, I feel like
What do you think should be number 10, Rhett?
so one that I know that neither of y'all played, but a fantastic boxing simulator dropped in January of this year. It was originally known as ESBC Boxing Club. It's now known as Undisputed. And to me, that is my number 10. It's been a long, long time since we got a good boxing game. The last one I really got into was Fight Night Round 3, although I know people love Round 4. Either way, both of those games are over 10 years old. And Undisputed, yeah, it simulates the sport that it's trying to mimic better than not only pretty much every other boxing game, but every other sports game in general. Yeah, the big problem with it right now is that it's in early access. It's still in early access, but I still think it belongs on this list because I've had a ton of fun with it. The only problem with it is that being in early access, they're constantly updating it and they're constantly changing mechanics. They're constantly changing how, the way certain punches work, the way certain punches land, the damage that they do, all kinds of stuff like that. So unlike other games that are in early access, with each update, it's kind of like you need to relearn the game from scratch, One day you might have a strategy that works really well, and the next day that strategy is either completely obsolete or it's not even in the game anymore. So that's been kind of rough through the early access period, but as far as what's there, I think it's a tremendous beginning to hopefully a long-running boxing franchise. Yeah, I'm super excited about this one.
I struggle with the same thing in early access. Good
Yeah.
examples being Dead Cells and Hades,
Mm.
both of which went on to be incredibly successful and find their way onto a top 10 list of ours when they finally came out. So I'd potentially suggest that one gets a pause until it gets a 1.0.
Yeah. Yeah, fair enough.
But good call out.
Where do we want? I'm trying to think of what other ones. Gonna be it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Well, are we only doing one list? Because in years prior, we've done our 3 lists. And then we have the official list that we all come to an agreement on.
Yeah, this would be us assembling the group list.
Okay.
I have a suggestion for number 10,
Sure.
and that's a game that I
What's
played
that?
recently because it was on Game Pass. Cocoon. Cocoon is a puzzle game that is very, very well art directed. The puzzles are mind bending and require you to think kind of outside the third dimension in a lot of ways. I can't think of a game that has tutorialized itself better than Cocoon. There's not a single word in this game. It doesn't tell you how to do anything. It doesn't prompt you for buttons or anything. And yet it is utterly intuitive to go from puzzle to puzzle to puzzle. And it is an absolute treat. Like, I sat down and I played through the entire thing in one sitting. It's probably like 6 hours or something like that. It's excellent.
Yeah, it was nominated at the Game Awards for something. Best indie, maybe? Something
Could be.
or other. Yeah. But I've never played it, so can't really add anything to this one.
Fascinating. It's it seems like hit pretty hard and pretty well. It's a good pitch. It's like there's no dialogue whatsoever, and it's all the worlds are just very self-contained and portable. That's fascinating. Yeah, I think that's definitely a candidate for number 10.
I'd also
Um,
throw MLB The Show 23 into the hat for number 10. Another fantastic, fantastic simulation. MLB continues to be the best sports game on the market, and it continues to prove that with this latest iteration. It looks great, plays great, sounds great, and with the addition of the Negro League storylines that they've added to the game, I feel like it might be the most meaningful sports game to have come out in a long time. And the way that they tell the stories, they get the dude from the Negro League Baseball Hall of Fame. He comes in, he sits down, he does these really well directed little videos, these little packages explaining, who each player is and the situations that they went through and everything. Um, yeah, it was. I had more fun playing that game than probably any sports game in a long, long time. I think it does. It does a lot of things right. It's of course like just like every other sports game, and honestly, not just sports games. It seems like almost every other game these days. There's obviously an abundance of uh, paid currency, things like that in the game. They definitely try to sort of push you towards their mode where you'll be spending the most amount of money, but you don't need to spend any money to have fun. Though I do worry about that in the future, that it could very well go the route that NBA 2K has gone in essentially being a pay to win game.
Hmm.
But man, is it fun to play. It really is a lot of fun to play.
okay.
I was just pulling up last year's list because I feel like you had very similar sentiment for Show 22.
Yeah, I did. I think I had it at number 10 as well last year. And yeah, I think 23 deserves it.
I remember last year, WWE 2K22 made it onto the list instead of the show.
Really? Well, I'll
We-
tell you what, man.
we had a-
2K23 was a fantastic iteration as well. You see, I don't
know if it
remember.
hangs
I
in
don't really
23, but-
remember the list from last year, to be honest. So I'm
Okay.
gonna have to take your word for it.
Yeah.
What's your pitch for number 10, James? Something weird potentially that nobody else played.
Something weird that nobody else played. Probably Octopath Traveler 2 would be my number 10 pitch because because Square Enix did their amazing modern RPG, which was Final Fantasy 16. And then they had sort of side by side their amazing retro RPG, which was Octopath Traveler 2, which took a pretty good game and vastly improved it. Where like the stories are more usefully interconnected, the end game stuff is more approachable, and the skill system feels more robust, and so the combat felt more engaging and rewarding. And this all on top of the beautiful audiovisual presentation and the there was no character with an inexplicable, baffling dog shit accent or dialect.
Uh-huh.
So that was cool. They really knocked it out of the park in that way, where you didn't have somebody using maybe the worst imitation of Shakespearean English ever written to try to make themselves seem sort of removed from modern parlance. And I'm pretty happy about that.
I had Octopath Traveler very high on my things I wish I had played.
Yeah. Yeah, same.
So I would not be sad at all if that made it into our 10 because if, like you say, it's better than the first one. The first one was great.
In every way.
It was great.
Yeah, better in every way.
Okay.
Yeah. Better balanced, better paced. Yeah.
Okay. See somebody has their cursor next to Super Mario Wonder.
Oh, that might be me.
Does this hack it?
The top 10 list?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it does.
Okay.
I played through it once for the review, and then I just started over with my wife because it's a 2D game, so we can play it together. And I gotta say, buds, it's exactly as good the second time in as many months.
So I tried the local multiplayer. I think it kind of sucks.
It's a
It's
different
not good.
It's a different kind of frustrating because it used to be that like you would have to deal with like collision where you'd be smashing into each other, and they took that away, and in exchange the big pain in the ass is that whoever's got the little crown that says they're the number one player, they control the camera, so you can
Oh.
just kill other people by going fast enough.
Yeah.
Shocking.
They'll like disappear off the screen, and then they're just iced, and they have to ghost float their way back to you in 5 seconds or less, or else they just spawn where you are a little later. It's actually very forgiving. But like if the player 2 or 3 or what have you who like can't quite keep up, they're like they hate it a little bit.
Yeah.
But the position of number 1 is flexible and fluid and can change from stage to stage.
Yeah.
So you sort of end up being like, you want to win so that you can control the camera.
Yeah,
and
whoever
fuck
grabs the
for
flag
other
first.
guy. Yeah.
which is more likely to be the person who's already got the crown since they're controlling the camera.
To a certain extent, yeah.
But that's like a side note. That's kind of a smaller part of the game itself, which is very well designed. There's so many unique things in that game.
Yeah. Just every stage is something new and weird. There's like limited time transformations that only happen with the Wonder Seeds that you only ever see once. And there's a whole bunch of those.
Hey, did you see somebody, the really tall Shadow Mario thing that happens a couple of times?
Yeah.
Yeah, somebody turned that shadow into what it would look like if it was actually Mario.
Oh,
That's a nightmare.
Disturbing.
Very.
yeah.
Might be our
Not
new
supposed to be that
podcast
tall, man.
mascot.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
I would recommend looking that up on your own time. And if
Yeah.
you need your eyes to bleed or something.
Yeah.
I had Mario Wonder at number 8.
Okay. I'd be fine. See, Mario Wonder, I'm okay with being 8 or 9.
Okay. It's just, yeah. I don't think the Crew Motorfest is number 7, but
Motorfest? Nah, I mean it was okay, but I don't think it's top 10.
So yeah, we have three potentials for number 10, one for 8 or 9.
I got another one I want to throw in the hat here.
please.
I don't know if
Okay.
y'all will agree, but it just snuck in here in December. Netflix's iOS / Android versions of the Grand Theft Auto Definitive trilogy. Have you even heard about these?
No.
I have.
They're head and shoulders above the actual definitive editions that came out on console. They're crazy. They run better. They look better. There's less issues with them. They've got classic lighting options that have pleased essentially every Grand Theft Auto fan, so you can have the games look essentially like they used to look, just with maybe updated textures. I wouldn't normally recommend an iOS game for this. I don't play cell phone games, but this is one of these rare instances where they essentially release these console quality games on your cell phone. And it kind of came out of nowhere. Nobody was expecting it. They're free of charge if you have a Netflix subscription. And they're a ton of fun to play. A ton of fun to play. it's like there would not have been nearly as much backlash to Rockstar if these were the versions of these games we got back when they released the quote unquote definitive edition.
Good God.
Those first 3 games
were terrible.
Yeah. You should check these out, Paul. I think that you'll be pleasantly surprised with them.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody's
Obviously,
got Netflix or has access to a Netflix. So
Exactly. Obviously, I recommend syncing up a controller with your phone or iPad, playing that way, because still, touchscreen controls just are god awful.
Yeah.
But they're really, really good. Yeah.
I don't know how I feel about putting something that's definitely just a remaster on a list.
Well, next to like Octopath Traveler 2, I probably wouldn't put it on there either. But I just wanted to give that a shout out because I was pleasantly surprised with these this past week.
Yeah, they're not compatible with my phone, so I've got nothing to say about them.
Oof.
Shit. Man, once Netflix allows us to fucking play these games on our TVs, then they'll really have something cooking there.
So, where do we want to stick Star Wars Jedi Survivor?
I think I'm the only one who played it. That
I've-
might
I've-
also be
I've
number
heard-
10. I don't know.
I've heard it's like way better than the first one.
It is.
in a lot of
Mhm.
really important ways.
It is. It's too bad that it came out
15.
in the state that it came out, which was not running great, didn't have a good performance mode, but it is
mean-
so much better than the first one.
The same damn thing happened with the first one, though.
Yep.
It released in a pretty fucking broken state.
And
It
that's
wasn't-
EA for you.
Right? I tried playing that game. I really wanted to get into it, but it was I don't want to say it was terrible, but it just had obvious issues. The number one being the frame rate. It could not maintain a steady frame rate to save its life.
Yeah.
Once it came to the PS5, it was fantastic. So,
Yeah.
I almost expected Survivor to launch in a semi-broken state. And
Yeah. Well, I mean, to their credit, they were very ambitious with how this game
Mhm.
looks. Because when the game came out, there were no modes that did not have ray tracing.
mm,
So that's why the performance mode was trash on console.
yeah.
Eventually, they removed that or removed the option for that. So performance mode is good now on consoles, and it's better on PC. It's not a great port, but it's fine now. The game itself is, like you say, James, way better than the first one. The combat mechanics are a lot tighter, feels a lot better to play. Great level design, very explorable, encourages you to go off and look in that area and use some of the fun traversal and platforming mechanics. And great characters. At least as good as the first one, if not better. Cal Kestis is still kind of a wet blanket, but all the other characters are good.
Mm-hmm.
So on my personal list, I put Jedi Survivor at 7.
7.
7.
Yeah, it's about what I expected, honestly. 7 is about where I thought it was going to end up.
From what I've seen and what I saw from your gameplay during the Extra Life stream, I would be okay having this one at 10.
Okay.
Yeah. But again, like it's so tough to rank it if I haven't played it, right? Like I don't know what to do.
Well, for some of these, it's only going to be one of us who's actually gotten into it, and so we have to rely on these good people's testimony.
Yeah.
We got a few in the 10-ish zone there.
Mhm.
God damn, that's so many 10ish.
Well, I think we can all just agree that MLB The Show 23 deserves that spot, and we can move on to number 9.
Right.
I would propose that we give our eyeballs a break on the number 10 spot and put Alan Wake where it should be.
Well,
yeah,
number
that's
1.
fair.
And I know that's
That's
a
number 1.
statement with a intentional ellipsis at the end of it.
Yeah.
We should put Alan Wake where it deserves to be, which is
number
where?
1.
Number 1.
Number 1. Yes,
Number 1.
James. Yes, baby. Fucking rights. Like you said it in our chat, man. That game is fucking art. It's a masterpiece. 13 years in the making, and I don't think it could have possibly disappointed one single fan that had been waiting over a decade for that game to come out. It was fucking brilliant. Nobody tells stories like Remedy. This one hits on all cylinders. Yeah, it can get confusing as fuck, but what Remedy game doesn't get confusing as fuck? That's
That,
why
that, that's a feature, not a bug.
It's
That's
a
what I
feature, not a
wanted.
It's
bug.
intentional.
Right? That's just one more reason as to why these games and all of their games demand multiple playthroughs. And that's a good thing. That's a good thing. Spider-Man 2, I don't see myself playing that again anytime soon. Not that I didn't love it, but I don't see myself playing it again anytime soon. I went through it twice. I had my fill. Alan Wake 2, they just added New Game Plus mode as well. That one is easily something that you could go through 4, 5, 6 times and find new stuff every time you play it.
Yeah.
Nothing surprised me more than Alan Wake. From start to finish, it was just fucking balls to the walls, crazy, action packed. It was beautiful. It was heartbreaking. It was well acted. The score was fucking brilliant, both original and licensed music. I mean, like there was nothing better than this game this year. There's nothing better.
It's basically the top 3 spots are tough, but personally I feel like Alan Wake 2 takes number 1.
Yes, I agree. And don't get me wrong, it was tough. I spent a long time trying to decide between this and Final Fantasy 16 for the number 1 spot.
Interesting.
True.
Interesting.
But when it was all said and done, when the smoke had cleared, Mr. Wake was standing there in victory. And
Well,
I'm
it's
gonna-
just because like the story is so rewarding where you feel like every time you learn a new detail about this world and about these characters, you're like, oh, fuck yes, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Or like some little detail will sort of swim up depending on how recently you played the first one or how recently you played Control. We were just like, oh, sick. Another
Mhm.
piece of the deeply interconnected puzzle falls into place. And there's a moment like that about every, I don't know, 3 to 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Where
Even
they're
going
just like-
back, man. So now that you did you finish this one, James? Paul, did you finish number 2?
I haven't finished it yet. No,
I did.
think I'm like 80, 90%.
After you finish it, you should go back and play Control again. Because there was actually a
Mm.
lot more in Control that didn't make sense at the time that
Yeah.
now makes sense with Alan Wake 2 being out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's certain things that I'm like, oh yeah, I remember something like that. It does make you want to go play the other Remedy games again.
Mhm.
They
Yeah.
I would say that there's no one that does it like Remedy. The only person I can think of is Kojima,
Right.
who
Right.
is kind of on that level of weird meta that
Yeah.
all the games are kind of strangely connected in some way.
I feel like Sam Lake wins the meta contest so hard because motherfuckers, I have to say, you know what else is sort of loosely tied up in this weird world? Max Payne.
Max
I was
Payne.
gonna
Max
say-
fucking Payne.
I was gonna
Yeah.
say they like Alex Casey is Max Payne. They just don't have the license
Yes.
to call him that.
Like the same fucking voice actor, the same character model, like it's the same dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they know that. They just can't say that because Rockstar owns Max Payne.
Mhm.
Yeah, but like the Alan Wake games are basically, hey, there's this dude who wrote Max Payne, and they were very successful hard-boiled detective novels, and then he went a little crazy.
Went very
It's like-
crazy.
It's such a it's so amazing that they've managed to tie all of their games together like this.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. It is brilliant. Looks fantastic. Probably the best looking game this year. Maybe the best looking game ever. Especially in the Dark Place, some of those city shots with all the neon.
Oh,
Man, it looks
it's
ridiculous.
fucking beautiful.
Um,
Beautiful.
I will say there's a part in the middle of the story. There's a part where it gets a little up its own ass, gets a little bit needlessly complicated in a couple of places. It recovers, but it does go not too far. But it goes a little farther than it needs to in the haha, do you see this? This is a loop. It's a loop within a loop within a loop. And within a loop,
because it's
I know why they're doing it, but they could have removed like one loop out of that and I would have been happier. I also don't love the combat. I think it's better in Saga's scenarios than it is in Alan's. I find the combat is a little more of a pain in the ass than fun.
I think it's an interesting symptom because there's a lot of like horror gameplay elements, and mechanically horror games do control worse because they're trying to stress you out, right?
Yeah.
Where it's just like your dude, like the fact that it takes so long to reload every weapon, you're like, fuck.
yeah.
Just like-
Or apply the trauma pads or whatever.
yeah,
does
healing
that-
is so stressful.
Very stressful.
There's that
very
one
stressful.
fight where you're fighting Thornton and Mulligan, which are badass deputy names, by the way.
Yeah.
And it's designed to fuck with you. So every time you try to heal, whoever that is that's on the ground is coming to get you. But so it's survival horror stuff. So it's good for what it is. It's not my favorite kind of gameplay, but
Sure.
the fact that I still like this game so much speaks volumes about the quality of the thing.
I thought the mind place was brilliant.
Mind Place, fantastic.
Feeling like an actual detective, putting the clues up on the walls, piecing them together.
And
I thought that was all really well done.
and the twist on that concept when you're playing as Alan to have the plot board
Yeah.
and be able to change the environment to suit your needs, really cool.
Like we were talking about how Spider-Man 2 felt too similar to the original game. This smashes that notion. This is truly a sequel, and one that was worth waiting a decade plus for.
And we haven't even talked about one, the musical, and
Oh.
two, the Koskela Brother commercials. Because those two things
Okay.
on their own are almost better than anything else this year.
Sauna?
Yeah. All the Finnish nonsense is so good.
It's so good, so good. But then the way that and I don't want to give any spoilers, but the way that those characters begin is just like kind of goofy comedic relief.
Yeah.
And then they actually become players in the story.
Yeah.
Just everything is interwoven so well. Like the writing really is next to flawless. I don't know, what parts are you talking about that feel like it gets a little bit up its own ass?
So, mostly on the Wake side of things,
Yeah.
the part where forget what chapter it is, but it's the part where you're heading to the hotel for the first time.
Okay.
Some of the navigation in the rooftops around there, like this is, I know it's trying to fuck with my head and put me in places that I could not possibly be. But it was too complicated for its own good in that, like, I'd go through a door and I'm looking at the map. Go through the door, I'm looking at a map. Turn right, I'm looking at the map. Like, where the fuck am I? Looking for the way back, especially navigating back from the hotel to the ground. It's like,
Yeah.
it's been like an hour since I was out here. I have no idea where anything is, and just like wandering aimlessly with the ghosts coming to get you, and you're running out of battery charges and yada yada. Survival.
Yeah, that was another thing that they really ramped up, where like your flashlight in the first one it like recharges and it comes back and it's a constant resource. In this one it's like, oh man, you're gonna run right out of that thing.
Yeah, well, I mean, the big change with the flashlight is that in this one, if you flash it on somebody, you don't have to hold it on people anymore.
Yeah.
You know, you click a button and you flash it on them, and that'll get rid of the darkness on them. Whereas with the first one, you actually had to hold it and have their darkness slowly decrease over time.
Yeah.
So I think it
Yeah.
makes sense. I think it makes
Yeah.
sense with what they were doing, and I mean, there's ample supplies. Like Maybe there was once or twice where I was like, shit, I need some batteries right now and I can't find them. But for the most part, the game is always giving you
Yeah.
supplies.
The balance is good.
Yeah.
Uh,
yeah.
I didn't put this at number 1 on my list, but I can see it being number 1 easily.
Yeah.
I went back and forth for a long time.
You know it deserves it just from the musical number alone.
Oh,
Okay,
God, it's so
but
good.
it is
Oh, good.
it is my probably my one of my favorite moments of the year in games is just that entire sequence, every sequence in the TV studio.
Yeah.
It's like all of the successive sequences in the TV studio are like, oh, you guys really fucking have something here. This is
Yeah.
wild.
Yeah, James and I were talking
And-
about this before we went live. Mr. Door is the coolest dude of all time.
Old Warden Door, huh?
Yeah. My
Yeah, so that's
man.
one of the things that you should go back and play Control on because there is definitely mention and talk about Mr. Door in Control.
Oh,
Yeah.
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 I remember when I was playing through Control, I'm like, is this literally talking about a door? Because it might be talking about a door.
hmm Well, but that's kind of, and again, I don't know, potential spoilers, but I think that that's kind of what Mr. Door is. That's what he's supposed to really represent. Is he is like a door between worlds essentially,
Yeah.
and he can be everywhere at once.
Yeah. So, Paul,
Yeah.
what's your pick for number 1? What's your case?
Baldur's Gate.
Yep, that's fair. That's fair. That's totally fair. Uh,
I
it's
fucking love Baldur's Gate 3. It is so well designed. I think it's probably the most complicated game ever devised. It handles it brilliantly, beautifully. No matter what you do, it's accounted for. Try ridiculous things, and it knows that you're going to try that. It's already accounted for it. Somebody's going to call you on it. Somebody's going to talk to you about it later. Everything comes back around, every choice that you make. Like I think it's one of the most impressive games that's ever been made, period.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's the thing with this list. I'm very passionate about Alan Wake 2. If Baldur's Gate 3 takes the number 1 spot, I totally understand. It's an incredibly impressive feat on all levels. It's a goddamn triumph.
It's 2-1, dog. It's 2-1. Alan Wake got our number 1 spot. It's locked in.
So if I concede that, does that mean I get Baldur's Gate at 2?
I'll say so. I mean, in my review of it, I did say that it was a once in a generation kind of game. It's very rare.
Personally, I think in this case, 1 and 2 are effectively interchangeable
Yeah.
because like they're
it's
both
so tight.
yeah.
Because I did consider putting Final Fantasy at the top as well.
I
Oh, yeah.
want to, but it can't hang with these two games, man. It's so I loved it. It's my perfect Final Fantasy. It's a fucking incredible ride. It cannot hang with these two games. It's not. It's such a dense year.
Yeah.
Any other year, FF16 would be a clear number 1, but not in 2023, man.
Yeah, I had to be brutal when I was evaluating things. You know, like I put Alan Wake at 2 because I was like, oh, there's that one little part that I'm like, that could have been better. And I don't love the combat. Ditto for Final Fantasy. I was like, the side quests kind of suck for the most part. And that was enough.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
like, it's not number 1 or 2.
Yeah. I personally I feel like it's either you got Baldur's Gate at 3 and Alan Wake 2 sitting in the top 2 spots. Final Fantasy 3 comfortably sits at number 3, or Final Fantasy 16 rather, because again, without these guys in conversation, I personally think that the combat design of that game is like it's like a dream team. It's like a super group. Like they just got all these fucking people together with all these incredible skills to make this like beautiful, flowy, fast-paced, fucking incredible combat. You're just like pop, 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 pop. It's just like it's amazing. It's amazing. It's so good. a lot of the side quests involve talking to people and then talking to different people and then
Mhm.
sometimes talking to the first people again.
Yeah.
So if you're like, if you want that story, that flavor, if you want to learn more about these people, it's great because you do, and all the side stuff is well written. But from a mechanical perspective, what if we did a second thing sometimes? I would love that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
What if we didn't just go to Lost Wing and then travel back to the base?
Yeah.
What if we didn't?
Yeah.
But I think you're right, James. In another year, this could very easily have been top dog.
Number one, for sure. Yeah. So that's I feel like that's just the thing I really want to stress to the viewers and the listeners is that especially positions 1 and 2 effectively interchangeable because like in their own separate ways both of these games are like
Yeah. Depends.
absolute generational achievements.
Yeah, it depends which way you lean. If you lean a little bit more mechanically, you might like Baldur's Gate better. If you lean a little bit more onto the story, mood, atmosphere, a little more on the Alan Wake side.
And you know, I grew up a fucking Metal Gear fan. Metal Gear
Oh,
fanboy.
I
first
know
and
you love
foremost,
nonsense.
so
Just
I had to give it to Alan.
yeah,
But I think even to James's point, I think even number 3, like Alan Wake, Baldur's, and Final Fantasy, all interchangeable. I think that those 3 games are absolutely must play. You know, if you like
Yeah.
video games, you owe it to yourself to play all 3 of those games.
and in that same conversation, it's mind-boggling that Tears of the Kingdom can only hack number 4
Right.
It's true. That's as high as it can go just because of what else is in the play.
because that is a
Right.
startlingly well-made game.
Yeah. The physics engine is is basically a mechanical miracle.
Yeah.
The fact that everything works the way it does is pure wizardry.
Can't wait for them to re-release it on the Nintendo Switch Pro 2 Super. New
Right.
next year.
I've got something else at my number 4, but should we go back to number 9?
Well, let's hear what you've. If there's things that we haven't talked about that you all have highly ranked, let's talk about those.
Resident Evil 4.
I thought you might say that.
Holy fuck, that's a good game though. Probably,
Honestly, I wish I'd played it because it looks
probably.
fucking fantastic.
I can't believe you didn't. You didn't? I
No, I
thought you did.
I didn't play it.
Okay, we'll cut the feed. Go play the game. We'll come back. Thanks for coming out, everybody. Have a great night.
So,
Um,
I've seen enough of it to know that it's doing more than it appears to on the surface because it looks
Yeah.
quite similar to RE4.
well, yeah,
But, you know, it adds quite a bit. There's like a whole open world section and stuff
yeah.
that just didn't exist before. So I could see
Yeah.
that being I mean, it's got to be on
It's-
here somewhere.
It's the best Resident Evil ever made. Although I really love 7. I really, really love 7. But I think RE4 is the best Resident Evil ever made. The remake. Yeah, it
Okay,
takes-
okay. You pose a very good point, Brett, very worthy of consideration. I feel like since we've locked in the top 4 and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 more slots, eight more games to take up the last 6 slots.
Yeah. Man, it was a tough year.
I think it's time to do a little bit of trimming, man. I think we can lock in some of these other titles because we have 12 that we need to cut down to 10.
Yeah, I'll concede RE4 to the 5th spot for Tears of the Kingdom, just because I do trust y'all's opinion on it. I did love Breath of the Wild, so I'm sure Tears of the Kingdom is even better. I know that there's a lot more to do in Tears of the Kingdom and whatnot, but listen, there was no game this year that I beat 15 times like I did Resident Evil 4.
Yeah, well, that's
15 times.
by that metric. God, what
Oh,
else
boy.
even compares?
Like that shit was so good. So good. I think it's probably the best remake I've ever seen as well. Not only the best Resident Evil game, but the best remake I've ever seen.
Really?
It's the shining example. It's the bar. It's the bar now for remakes. And like Last of
Oh.
Us 1, the Last of Us 1 remake came out this year and it wasn't nearly as good as the RE4 remake.
I want I want to put RE4, yeah, yeah, number 5, and then
Coda,
I feel
I'd give RE4 over Tears as well, but I don't think I'm gonna win that battle.
I don't think
you
so.
are not, but
No. I mean,
All
it's
right.
2-1. What can you do, right?
Yeah, what can you do?
What can you do? Oh, number 5 ain't bad. Number 5 ain't bad, especially this year with as many good games that we got. Number 5 ain't bad.
yeah,
Well, I'll tell you what. If we put Spider-Man in at that number 6, then our top 6 is literally the Game Awards nominees, which I kind of
Except-
don't like.
Except Final Fantasy. Final Fantasy wasn't nominated. Which
Wasn't it?
I thought was no for
Oh,
Game of
right,
the
it
Year
was
was
Mario
not
Wonder.
nominated. Which I
Alright.
thought
Okay, I
was
feel
a
better.
travesty. Listen, I understand Wonder's a good game and all that. It
Yeah,
is
it's not
not
as
on the
good.
same level as FF16. It's
No.
not.
not even a little
Like,
bit.
Come on,
Not even a little bit.
Yeah,
Yeah, no.
like, that's an embarrassing move by Jeff and the fellas. Whoever fucking nominates these games, whoever figures that out, that's an embarrassing move by y'all.
I think
I
Jeff
think-
needs to have a pretty stern talking to with himself
Yeah,
after this year.
yeah.
I think Sea of Stars can go above Spider-Man, personally.
I think I would agree with that.
Oh man, I don't know. I don't know about that. It's just like
Well, because Sea of Stars is it's an original with, strictly speaking, more replay value than Spider-Man 2.
yeah.
It doesn't
More
have any
replay value.
knocking over boards and graffiti missions either.
Good point. Good point. Very good point. Very, very good point.
See, that's what's so fraught about this year, is they're both really good games. But Sea of Stars just does a couple of things a little bit better once in a while. And so Spider-Man 2 loses a whole position.
Yeah, how about that Sea of Stars soundtrack?
Fuck me, just a triumph.
It's fantastic, but by the end of it, it's also kind of repetitive. There's one battle song.
You know, that comes with the
Right.
territory for the genre.
Yeah.
I'll say right now, there was not a single song in that soundtrack I was even a little bit sick of by the end of it.
Yeah.
Every single one, it was still like, yes, so excited to hear this track. Haha, fuck yeah, let's do it.
James, you're kind of like an anime character sometimes. Just a little bit.
I understand that. I'm very animated.
It was the
yeah.
whole, ha yes, let's do it.
Like, my dialogue has been dubbed over reasonably well.
Yeah. Hmm. That's tough. Let's just edit the numbers here so that it says 6 to 7.
Yeah. So, okay, so we got 5, 6, 7, 7, 8, 9. Oh my god. If we keep Star Wars Jedi Survivor in the top 10, which I think we should, I guess, although Jesus. 6,
What?
7, 8.
I
Yeah,
could've-
there's two spots, 9 and 10, that are like probably the most hotly contested on the whole list, because there's so many games that could go there.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta. This is our list, so we can do whatever we want. What
Yeah,
if
I
we had
think- I
3
think-
number 10s? Cocoon,
3 number 10s?
MLB The Show, Octopath Traveler 2. They're all number 10.
Yep. Yep, that's fair. The three-way tie for number 10. Okay. With
But it
Jedi
says-
Star.
I don't think Jedi deserves top 10.
Ooh.
Okay.
All right.
Mhm.
Well, state your case, man.
I remember him saying that it was probably number 15 on his list. But
Who said that?
Guy in the chat, Coda.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Thought the story was lame as fuck compared to the first one.
Go on.
Didn't play it, so I can't. Yeah, I can't argue. Or I can't. I don't have anything to say, so I didn't play it.
Well, we got a couple titles like that, right? Where it's just the one of us, and so the one of us just has to make the case.
Mm-hmm.
So there is a bunch of stuff currently unranked that at least some of us touched. We haven't talked about, like
Sure.
Diablo 4. Some
No.
of us were real hot on that at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, of course. And then you get to the end game, and it's goddamn miserable. And then you realize, oh no, wait, I think this actually sucked the whole time.
Here we go. As far as Jedi goes, hot mess on launch and having some slumbering old Jedi was the main villain, and your end goal was going to some hidden planet was super lame.
That's Star Wars, though.
Yeah.
The end goal is always some hidden planet. It's always some slumbering Jedi.
Yeah. That is true.
I mean, I think where the story of the Jedi games is going is better than most of the stuff Disney has done with Star Wars.
Not a super high bar, but yes.
I mean, I could be convinced that Jedi doesn't need to be in the top 10.
That's the trick, is I'm kind of looking over the rest of our list, and I don't really see a game that kicks it out. I mean, Armored Core 6, I
Yeah,
know for a fact not a single one of us played it,
I know.
but like, that's the thing. If a single one of us had played it, maybe we could make a case for it, but we didn't, so we can't.
We almost need to do like a an end of February before all the games that come out at the end of February come out cast of the best games from last year that we have now played. So that's where you get your Armored Core 6 and your Pikmin 4 and
Liza P.
Liza P, Metroid
Yeah.
Prime, Hi-Fi Rush. Although I played a bit of Hi-Fi Rush, I didn't really.
I also played
Love it.
Hi-Fi Rush, and I noped out of it after a while because
Yeah, that shit was
it,
poo
like,
poo.
it just it started off great, and then it gets really like punishing in a boring way.
The only reason people got a boner for it was because there's no games on Xbox, and they were all like, "Oh my god, this is a semi-playable Xbox game." Man, that shit sucked, y'all.
All right,
Give me fucking Redfall over that. Well, maybe not Redfall.
I don't. Yeah,
Maybe not Redfall. Sorry.
Yeah, no.
Got the poop rank. All right, poop rank. Okay.
go.
I would take Diablo 4 over, and this is serious. I'd take Diablo 4 over Hi-Fi Rush any fucking day.
That's fair.
Yep.
I understand. I agree. Actually,
Yeah.
I just found Diablo 4. The whole progression system I found incredibly frustrating. Like, it just felt like no matter which character you played, you never really felt particularly powerful at any given time. It always felt like you were just kind of squeaking by. And
Yeah.
like, it was just like you'd see online, you're like, oh, this is a great, super powerful build. You just need like 6 of the rarest items you've ever seen in your life and have never even gotten a whiff of during your 30 to 60 hours you've dropped in so far. It's like, no, fuck off.
Right. Yeah.
Give me your road to that
Yeah.
end game that isn't like just hundreds of hours of like grinding high level dungeons. I'm not that man anymore, okay? I can't be doing that shit.
Yeah. No, I had a lot more fun with MLB than I did Diablo 4, and MLB is my number 10, so.
What about Hogwarts?
Hogwarts is higher than 10.
Do you want to make a case for Hogwarts?
I'd probably have it in the right now, I'd probably have it in the 7 hole. It was a really, really well designed game. There are a few games that came out this year that built their world better than Hogwarts did. It felt very, very much alive. It felt like you were playing the movies, the books. You know, you could tell that it was crafted with a lot of care and a lot of love for the source material. And the combat was engaging. It was fun to play. It was well acted. It looked great. As long as you weren't playing it on the Switch, it looked great.
Imagine
And
that.
yeah, imagine that.
The
Yeah,
Switch port sucked. What?
yeah. No, that was a surprisingly good game. Surprisingly good game.
I put Hogwarts as my number 10
10. Yeah.
because everything you're saying is true. It's it's fun. You know, there's a lot of collectathon stuff of, you know, you're grabbing this page and that page and
Right.
doing
There
stuff,
is.
but the world itself is fun to roam around in, which is the key for something like that.
Mhm.
You want to fly your broom over to that little island or whatever and see what's there. And it's probably evil wizards, and you blast them with the exploding one, whatever that was called.
You hit him with the Avada Kedavra.
Yeah, go straight to the death curse.
Right.
Yeah.
100%.
Well, you
100%.
know, even if you don't use it all the time, you want to at least have the option.
Mhm. I do feel like it dropped the ball a bit in that, like, using those spells doesn't make you an evil character. Whereas, like, in the source material, if you do use those spells, you are evil, as far
Yeah.
as I understand, right?
It's unforgivable.
Right? It's unforgivable. Yeah, exactly. So, but like, you can literally like be on the school grounds, Avada Kedavering, and nobody gives a fuck, you know? So I feel like that sort of stuff could have been cleaned up. Also, no Quidditch hurt the game.
Yeah, that's rough.
Having a big ass Quidditch field out there and like even missions pertaining to Quidditch, but no actual Quidditch. I think a lot of people were like, this is like a glaring omission. But I had a ton of fun with that game.
Yeah,
Tons
me
of
too.
fun.
Me too.
Yeah.
I feel like the lack of Quidditch is. I don't think
That sucked.
I don't think they really figured out broomstick flying though.
Right.
'Cause the
Well,
controls
I don't
for
know, I thought it felt pretty good. Especially once you upgraded your broom and you were going as fast as you possibly could. I thought it felt pretty good.
Yeah. The feel was fine. I thought the controls were pretty rough because it had this weird setup. Like every flight game in modern history has roll and
Oh.
pitch on the one stick, and then speed up and yaw on the other stick. This one had. I feel like it was go up and down and roll, turn right and left on opposite
Right.
sticks. And that was very hard to manage.
Coda does make a point. He says, not really, actually. The good characters did use forbidden curses. The auras used them.
Oh, did they?
See, I'm not
All right.
familiar with that.
Deep dive into the lore.
Yeah. But no, I thoroughly enjoyed the game. I thought it was a pleasant surprise. One that I didn't really go into with expectations, and again, I had a great time with it. It feels like, when did it come out? Was it February, March?
It's either the end of January, beginning of February.
Right? It came out before Resident Evil, so I wanted
Yeah.
to say it feels like it was the first AAA game of the year. It felt like it had a big budget behind it. It felt like it was really like a next gen game. And yeah, it's 100%. It's worth it's worthy of being on the top 10.
I got a bargain for you. If I can get Cocoon on the list, I would drop Jedi in favor of Hogwarts.
Little deal, huh? Well, that's a hell of a deal.
Sometimes you got to do a little wheeling, a little dealing.
So what were we thinking? Cocoon 10, Hogwarts 9?
I could see that.
I need to play Cocoon. If you enjoyed it as much as you did, that's gonna go on my list.
Oh,
Definitely gonna play that.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Did you say it was a Game Pass thing?
Game Pass, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, it's super good.
Well, reason out for that. James, I know you love Harry Potter. Wake up, dog. Wake up, dog.
I was watching some gameplay footage and I just got really sleepy all of a sudden. I'm sorry.
Dude, it's great. It really is a fantastic game.
Yeah, they just did. There's that one spell they use, and then sometimes there's a second spell.
No, see, that was the thing. Like, it played a lot like God of War in that the combat, like, you were changing between spells on the fly to create all kinds of different combinations that were not only fun to pull off, but like were visually impressive as well.
Yeah, you see, when you guys talk about the game, and you're like, it's just like God of War. That it has no hope in my eyes, right?
Right.
Like it's just, it's just like this other game series you don't really like, and I'm like, oh, okay, well,
Yeah, that's
probably
fair.
never playing it then.
Yeah, that's fair.
It's just,
What about like I don't know what else to compare it to.
yeah, some people have compared it to like Destiny. Also, not a selling point
Destiny.
for James.
No.
Destiny, I don't get at all.
I thought the game was going to be like Destiny. 'Cause I thought they were going to do a live service kind of thing, which probably would have worked. But
Yeah. No, it
Um,
was a fantastic single player experience.
Yeah, it's just like, I don't know.
Although, with that being said, another glaring omission I felt was the lack of co-op.
yep,
Being in there with 1 to 4 friends and being able to explore the land, explore Hogwarts, explore, the towns outside of it, that would have been a ton of fun.
can you imagine too?
And-
You get mad at your friend and you cast a Avada Kedavra and they're
You
booted.
hit them with that. Yeah.
They're booted from
yeah.
the game. They're gone. They're dead.
Right? Fuck, that would be fun. Like, how fun would it have been to have, like, okay, so you got 4 people in there and each person could pick their own house and like they
Yeah.
could run around and do missions, like missions pertaining to Hufflepuff, pertaining to Ravenclaw, and then like maybe you all meet up together to do like one of the main missions.
Yeah, and go to like potions class and
Yeah, exactly. Like,
Yeah.
I think that I don't know, if there's going to be a sequel, that should be the focus of the sequel.
it certainly made enough money they could consider doing such a thing.
Mhm. Oh yeah, it's the number. Is it still the number 1 game on? Nah, probably Baldur's Gate would have been. But Hogwarts smashed all sorts of records for
It did.
concurrent Steam players, et cetera. Yeah, like Hogwarts. I think Hogwarts was the best selling game of the year. It beat Call of Duty on the holiday on the best for the first time in like over a decade. Call of Duty was knocked off the top selling game of the year list in favor of Hogwarts. And there's a reason, man. There's a reason. If the game sucked, regardless of the fan base, it wouldn't have done well. But the fact that, yeah, not only is it a very popular franchise, but it was also great. Yeah, I think it deserves a spot on the list. Mission for Hufflepuff: be a bitch and die in the main.
What?
Wow, damn. Oh shit,
Jeez.
shots fired. Yeah. Here's your mission for Hufflepuff: be a bitch and die.
Hey,
Ah.
this is just a fun little aside that I learned about recently. Not really related to, well, sort of related, but not super related to anything we've been talking about. Because you're talking about how it being the fastest selling game and how it's made a bunch of money. Do you know what the highest selling media franchise of all time is?
GTA?
Like, no. Just in general, for like general media franchises, like media properties, like the highest selling media franchise. So for all forms of media,
Harry Potter?
Pokemon.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Mm,
It's not only is it Pokemon, it's Pokemon by $30 billion.
wow.
God damn.
Pokemon has made 88 billion US since it started in 1996. Mickey Mouse and Friends is number 2 at 52.2 billion.
That's fucking nuts. And you would think that they would Nintendo would hire a better developer
Right?
in that time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my
Like,
god.
Yeah.
Last few
Yeah.
games. Jeez.
Yeah, Harry Potter, by the way, is definitely on the list.
Yeah.
They're doing pretty good. 34.5 billion, right? They came out in 1997. That's pretty good.
Can't be mad at that.
know?
35 bill.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right?
Can't be mad at
Pretty
that.
good.
That's crazy. Though. 80. What did you say? 88 for Pokemon?
88 billion. Licensed merchandise accounts for 80.8 billion dollars.
Right. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Fuck, man. How
There's
many
$80
fucking
billion
Pikachu,
worth of Pikachus out there. Yeah.
Pikachu plushies? Yeah. How
Yeah,
many of
yeah.
those exist in the world? Holy
Yeah.
fuck.
Yeah,
That's
Mickey
crazy.
Mouse and Friends has been around since 1928, and it's being lapped
Yeah.
by $30 billion.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, it's a digression. It's not relevant to the discussion at all. I just found that out recently. I thought it was absolutely hilarious.
Oh, that's crazy.
They're also
That's
the only entry on the list where some of their money comes from jet aircraft livery sales.
Oh yeah, I've seen a couple Pokemon planes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Didn't a Pokemon game come out this year?
Yeah.
Yikes. Not even on the radar. It's not even on the list of things to be considered.
I
Pokemon
think
game. What Pokemon game?
No, it came out at the end of last year.
Was it?
Yeah, it was at the
Ruby,
very
Violet?
Yeah, Scarlet came out at the very end of last year,
Yeah.
and no, not on the list, not even a little bit.
Some DLC came out for those recently.
Yes, some DLC came out this year, and it was fine.
Yeah. Mickey Mouse has been putting out straight up ass. Wait, what is this? Mickey Mouse has been putting out straight up ass here lately, so I'm not surprised. What? Mickey Mouse been putting out ass? Coda says.
Are people getting the opportunity to fuck Mickey Mouse?
Is that rule?
Is
Are
that
you
what you're
rule 44ing Mickey Mouse right now?
yeah.
Is he
Is that a
getting?
34, 44?
Yeah. Is he getting some? He's getting some strange.
Well, you know
Out there in the
what?
world?
You know who's really going to be getting some strange is that Steamboat Willie come with this year now. Yeah, he's going to be fucking. He's really going to be getting torn a new one sooner than later.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
God.
yeah, I'm the only person who hasn't played Hogwarts, so I am vetoed.
No, I'll give a handshake to Paul on this one. If you want Cocoon 10, I'll definitely concede the 9th spot to Hogwarts. Even though I think that it should probably be a little bit higher. I think 9's fair. I think 9's fair.
I could also see Octopath being 10.
Mm.
I know that make James happy.
But I mean, like Octopath 2 looked very much like the same as Octopath 1, and is that not something that you faulted Spider-Man 2 for?
Spider-Man 1 and 2 are more mechanically similar, in my personal opinion.
Yeah.
But Spider-Man is also a very impressive technical achievement. Whereas Octopath Traveler 2 was just a wonderful game that I loved that apparently nobody else on the planet gave a shit about. So there.
Yeah. Well, listen, if Hogwarts can get on the list of number 9, y'all can have number 10. Y'all decide. I need to play this Cocoon game though.
Yeah,
Shit.
it's really good.
Yeah.
I suspect this is getting into speculation territory. Had I played Octopath Traveler 2, it probably would have been on my list somewhere.
Did you play the first?
Yes, it's outstanding.
Yeah.
If this one's better,
Better in
fucking
most ways,
love
yes.
that art style. Like I would take like the Octopath art style over the Sea Stars art style any day. I think those Octopath games look fucking gorgeous.
it's definitely a more unique modern look versus the kind of purely going for a retro vibe,
Right.
but with way more pixels than you could possibly do in the 90s. How do we feel about this? I've got MLB, Cocoon, and Jedi Survivor 11-ish. Number 10, Octopath Traveler. Number 9, Hogwarts Legacy. Number 8, Super Mario Wonder. Number 7, Spider-Man. Number 6, Sea of Stars. 5, Resident Evil 4 Remake. 4, Tears of the Kingdom. 3, Final Fantasy 16, 2, Baldur's Gate 3, and number 1, Alan Wake 2.
Yeah. Okay.
Concerns, comments, pain points?
I just, man, I don't think that Sea of Stars was better than Spider-Man. Spider-Man was just, it was more of a technical achievement. I know y'all, I assume y'all are Chrono Trigger fans. Y'all must be Chrono Trigger fans.
100%.
Yeah, right. So I think that you're looking through the rose-colored glasses, so to speak, with this one. I think that,
I acknowledge that, and I'm fine with that.
yeah.
They're my glasses. I'll look through them however I feel.
Yeah, that's fair. Like, you know what else I think deserves to be on the list, actually? A game that I recently finished was Dead Island 2.
I
Dude,
did like what I played of Dead Island 2.
That shit was fantastic.
It's pretty
It was
fun.
very, very good. Like, I wouldn't be mad if this one slotted into number 10, but yeah. I don't know if I can buy Sea of Stars as being better than Spider-Man. But you know what? If you gave up the top spot to Alan Wake, maybe I could give you
What are your
Sea of
thoughts,
Stars.
James?
Biased voting.
I think, I don't know. I think if I'd played Hogwarts, I'd be able to fight with you guys about it. But I don't want to play it, so I can't.
Yeah.
And I also think that Dead Island 2 was like deeply frustrating and unpleasant. But
Dude, I loved it. I
Yeah?
fucking loved it. Yeah, like
I
it's
just
really good.
it was
Like,
just like,
the gore mechanics are just like
oh
next
sure,
level.
yeah,
It's gnarly.
like it looks deliciously gooey top to bottom,
Yeah.
but like
Environments are
It- it-
gorgeous. Stories serviceable.
I just found the like progression system to be super annoying. Where like they just wanted to make sure that you were struggling at all times, no matter what you were doing, and that like, God, just give me a gun, you fucking tool sheds.
Well,
Just
you
give me a
get
fucking
guns.
gun. Yeah,
You get
eventually
guns.
you get
You get
guns.
lots of
Eventually
them.
you get guns. You get
Yeah.
guns eventually, but like it takes longer than I would like.
I
think
was
it's nice,
set.
though, like,
I was set for life once I found the drop kick. Once
Oh,
you realize you could
which is
drop
early
kick-
on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, I
Yeah,
don't need a weapon
I-
anymore. I'm drop kicking everything that moves.
yeah, dude, the dropkick is fucking sweet. But like, I like the sense of progression. I felt like your character definitely, there's a clear arc. There's a clear trajectory that your character takes. And
Yeah.
he is not the same character as he or she was at the start of the game. The card system works well. By the end of the game, I felt like I had this super OP character built up where I was essentially unstoppable. And that was super rewarding to get to. Because at the start of the game, I was kind of maybe getting my ass kicked a little bit. But by the end of it, I was like, holy fuck, I really feel like I've gone on this journey and have, become this zombie killing machine that you probably would become if you were thrust into these circumstances.
The story is unapologetically terrible, though.
Yeah. Well, like I said,
It's
it's
that-
serviceable,
yeah,
but it's a
it's that-
fucking zombie thing. Like, when is a zombie story ever great?
Right, but it's, I don't know, it's that mid 2000s vapidity of LA vibe.
Yeah.
It's just been done to death, you know?
Oh yeah. 100%.
But you're
100%.
not going to Dead Island 2 for that. You're going to Dead
No,
Island 2
no.
to
You're not
hack
going
a
to Dead
guy
Island
with
2
a
for Shakespeare.
lead pipe. Yeah.
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 Lead pipe. Exactly. You want lead pipe and you want jaws on the floor. And you get all of that and then some.
Yeah, some of the created weapons are pretty
Creative weapons are sweet. And like I said, like,
pretty good.
the way that the zombies deteriorate is fucking fantastic. Punch one in the jaw and their jaw will be hanging off by a thread, or dismember an arm, dismember a leg, and they'll go down and they'll still be crawling at you. Hit them with like a caustic weapon and they'll slowly melt into just a skeleton. Man, like the gore effects, all that shit was really, really good.
Agreed.
Really fun, really satisfying. I think the best move, probably the best like finishing move in all of gaming this year, was the punch straight through a zombie's face, where you leave a hole that you can see through right out the back, and you pull the fist out, and then like, come on, like that's just sweet. I would fault the game though for there not being enough of that stuff. Like what's there is great, but there's only one punch through the face. You know what I mean? There's only one, like, with each weapon will have like a special move that you can do with it, but there's only one special move that you can do with each weapon. What's there is really well done, well animated, the effects are cool, but there might not be enough of it.
They just didn't go far enough.
Yeah.
That's fair. Okay. James, we didn't quite get to where you stand on Sea of Stars versus Spider-Man. Or any other grievances with the current list.
Take a look here. Give it a gander.
Man. While you do that, Paul, did you ever play City Skylines 2?
No, I didn't.
No.
Because by all accounts, it is just horrendously optimized
Oh, really?
currently. It
shit.
should not have been released in the state it is in.
Yeah.
Yeah, people with like 4090s are
Oh,
just,
really?
just crippled with this thing, and it doesn't look that good. It's just
Yeah.
badly coded or whatever. Bad optimization.
Yeah.
Probably play it next year once some DLCs start coming out, and
Yeah.
maybe they get their shit under control.
Yeah. Yeah, James, while you figure that, I want to. Another reason why Resident Evil 4 was such a fucking beast this year is the VR mode that was added for free. Arguably the best VR game on PSVR 2 now. It's fucking sweet. And like a lot of people would have agreed that Resident Evil 7 was the best VR game on the PSVR 1.
Yeah.
So I think it's telling that now it's pretty much universally agreed upon that RE4 is the best VR game on the PSVR 2 at the moment. Just another reason why it was such a fucking banger this year.
Let's see them pull VR modes out of their hat on some of their other stuff.
Yeah.
You know, let's see Dragon's Dogma 2 have a VR mode.
Mm-hmm.
Look forward to that, by the way.
Fucking Street Fighter VR.
I could switch Spider-Man and Sea of Stars.
Okay.
I would be okay with that.
Like Spider-Man moves up.
And Sea of Stars moves down. Yes.
Yeah.
I'm fine with that.
Sea of Stars is great. I felt like Sea of Stars maybe was a little bit too long.
Yeah.
I didn't personally have that problem. I don't know. I felt like it. I don't know.
I thought the game itself was a fine length. I didn't like that you have to 100% it to get the true ending.
Sorry. There's a very fair comment from Coda in the chat here. Just going back to Dead Island really quick. To be fair, it's set in Cali, which has super strict gun laws. So it makes sense that they don't give you a lot of them. just throwing that out there.
Sure.
All right.
Okay.
An element of realism in Dead Island too. I like it.
Yeah. Maybe not the place for it.
Yeah.
I would argue.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah.
Yeah, I feel pretty good about this otherwise.
Okay.
We've got Dead Island 2 in there at gooey and delicious, as James so eloquently put it.
Mm-hmm.
And then 11-ish, Cocoon, MLB The Show 23, Star Wars Jedi Survivor. And yeah, Octopath at 10, Hogwarts at 9, Super Mario Wonder at 8, Sea of Stars at 7, Spider-Man 2 at 6, RE4 at 5, Tears of the Kingdom at 4, Final Fantasy 16 at 3, Baldur's Gate 3 at 2, and Alan Wake 2 at 1. That is a little confusing when you say it all in a row like that.
Yeah, it sounds pretty fucking good to me though.
We got 16 at 3, 3 at 2, and 2 at 1. What's the problem?
yeah.
Right? Makes perfect sense.
And 4 at 5 and 2 at 6. Also 2 at 10.
Yeah, a lot of that. A lot of twos. A lot of twos. A lot of sophomore albums that came out fucking bursting out of the gates.
All right. Should we just lock it in? Is that good? How do we lock
I'm
it in?
doing one more scan of the games that came out this year. See if I missed anything.
We already shit all over every Xbox game that came out, so
Yeah, well, they were all brutal. Forza, brutal.
Forza is not good.
Like, what the fuck is going on over there?
It's frustrating. Really.
Like, it seems like Xbox just gave up. Microsoft just gave up this generation and last generation too, to be honest. But it seems like they've just they've given up. They don't care about games anymore.
So
Long gone are the days of the 360 with the Gears of Wars and the Halo 3s and the fucking.
So I had heard that Halo Infinite multiplayer got good.
Oh, really?
Yeah. That it's in a good spot. It's really fun. So I downloaded it, played some of it on New Year's.
Yeah.
It's still not good. It just
Who did you?
it just
who was telling you that it was good?
the internet.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, they never get anything right or wrong.
Yeah.
But it's missing something. It doesn't feel good to play. It's hard to quantify what that means, but if you play an old Halo game, it feels good.
Yeah.
Play Destiny, it feels good. Halo Infinite doesn't feel good. And it's a real shame. Because they've done some cool stuff, like they're bringing back old Halo 3 maps. But unfortunately, it's just not that fun to play.
Coda says you trusted the internet. LOL.
Oh, I didn't trust the internet. I chose to take a piece of that sage internet wisdom and test its validity.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was found wanting.
Oh God, was it ever?
Did
All right.
you ever, Paul? Did you ever get a chance to play more RoboCop?
Oh fuck, man. I've gone back to it a couple of times.
Yeah. It's not
Whatever-
good, right?
For whatever reason, my machine it just crashes incessantly.
Right.
So that's a real problem. But
Yeah.
there's nothing to it.
Dude, nothing to it at all.
It looks really good. Like if you go and stare at some concrete and stuff, that's
Yeah,
good looking
yeah.
concrete. That's a nice looking TV monitor. But
For sure.
once you've thrown a CRT at bad guys about 5 times, and
Yeah.
you're like, that's all there is to this game.
Yeah.
It's very mediocre.
Yeah.
Would not pay for it again.
No.
Would not pay for it again.
Super mediocre. I called it Robo Flop in my review.
Oh,
And it
nice.
is. It is. Like, it fucking came and went, and you'll probably never hear about it again.
Apparently those developers made a Terminator game before this.
I don't know.
And the internet says that was pretty good.
Yeah.
But the internet also thinks that this RoboCop is pretty good. So
Yeah, I've seen that as well. Yeah, people have been talking about how this is actually pretty sweet. It's not.
no,
It's not.
just-
Especially when you fucking stand it up next to some of these fucking heavy hitters that came out this year. It's like, man, this is like embarrassing.
you get no argument from me.
Yeah.
Well, good work, fellas. That was not quite the bloodbath that I expected it to be.
It never is.
No,
I think that's the 4th year in a row that we've said This is supposed to be a bloodbath, and it's just not.
It was just
Well-
it was very reasonable top to bottom. Some concessions were
Yeah.
made.
Right?
Yeah. I don't know, man. I got everything that I wanted to be where I wanted to be pretty much. So I don't know.
Honestly, yeah, we got Alan Wake #1, and that was the battle that I wanted to win, and I'm happy about that. I'm very pleased about that.
And I'm not
Yeah.
mad about it. Because
If you think Baldur's Gate was game of the year, I wouldn't argue. But for me personally, nothing was more fun, period, than Alan Wake 2.
And when we get off this podcast, I'm probably going to go finish Alan Wake 2.
Yeah, please do.
So I think
Please do.
I'm pretty sure I'm on the last chapter on the Wake side. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
a couple more done to do on Saga's side.
That was another brilliant thing that they did, is that they allow you to tackle the game in whatever order you want to play the game.
And it vastly changes the experience. If you played all
Yeah.
of one first and then went back and, have some of those beats when you're from the overlaps come back from the other side, you're like, oh yeah, that was like
Yeah.
10 hours ago.
Yeah,
It's good stuff.
yeah.
Well, I was impressed.
Oh man. They got a
I
tall
was
order.
impressed.
If they, which I would assume based on the story, there's going to be an Alan Wake 3.
I assume
Remedy
there's
has a
going to
right?
be a Control 2 before that.
Control 2, yeah. Alan Wake 3, Remedy has a tall order ahead of them.
Yep.
They got a lot to live up to with this game.
And hopefully they change it as significantly as they did with this one.
Yeah. Just as long as it doesn't take another 13 years to come out.
Well,
Well,
it might.
I don't. Yeah.
Hopefully they don't get bought by Microsoft in the meantime.
Oh,
That would
God.
mean the end
Yeah,
of Remedy.
yeah.
I'm mostly
Yeah, I
joking
think-
about that.
Yeah.
Mostly.
Mostly.
All right. So what say we get out of
Alright.
here and come
Yeah.
back next time and talk about 2024.
Yeah.
I think there's some good stuff
2024,
on the
next
horizon.
episode. There's some amazing stuff on the horizon. So good.
What is it?
Yep.
You'll have to come back next time. You'll have to.
That's right.
You'll have to
We'll
return.
have all the deets. We're going to tell you. We're going to tell you all about it.
So thanks for hanging out in the chat. Good contributions. Entertaining at very least. Didn't obviously affect the process because this is an ironclad business
Yeah.
where it's completely objective and subjective at the same time.
Maybe next year we bring on some guests.
To
I think
to
isn't
throw
that
a,
what-
to throw a wrench into the works.
yeah. Isn't that what we did last year?
It
We brought on, yeah, right.
Yep.
Yeah,
That's
last year's kind of a fog. It's kind of a haze to me, but I'm pretty sure
You don't
that, yeah,
say.
we brought on some fucking guests. Yeah.
It was a little messy.
Was it?
A little bit.
Yeah.
But should go back and watch the tape one of these days.
Oh, dude, I can't bring myself to do it, to be honest. I can't. Yeah.
Well, I feel good about how this year went. So
Yeah.
thank you both. Thank you for watching and or listening. If you're doing this later, it's Paul, Rhett, and James. Press X Podcast crew. That's the best games of 2023. Should we count them down one more time?
Yeah, before you do, and
Yeah.
remember, if you're watching this, come along because I'll be streaming in about an hour's time. I'm doing my first ever playthrough of Ocarina of Time. So come along and
Ooh, which version are you
check that
playing?
out. The 98. It's playing it on the Switch, but it's the fucking 98
The original?
version.
Nice.
Yeah.
Sweet. Well, there you have it. That's the 10 best games of the year. 10-1, Octopath Traveler 2, Hogwarts Legacy, Super Mario Wonder, Sea of Stars, Spider-Man 2, Resident Evil 4 Remake, Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, Final Fantasy 16, Baldur's Gate 3, and the best game of 2023, Alan Wake 2.
I think I agree with this list more than any other that we've done. This feels right to me. Everything on there just feels right.
It feels solid.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's get out of here. We'll be back in a couple weeks' time to talk more video games, 2024 stuff. Come back for that. And we'll see you next time right here on Press X2 Podcast.